What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 26 of Gotta Watch 'Em All. I am one of your hosts, Ken Pescator, joined by my co-host, as always, Adam Tuttle. Adam, what is up? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
That's great.
Like always. But what's up? I mean, the sky. I mean, Pokemon Go Park.
Dude. All right. So there's a lot to talk about. Again, these past couple weeks have been very heavy Pokemon Go because this is the summer season, and Niantic is having event after event, and lots of stuff going on. So there's a lot of stuff happening locally. There's a lot of stuff happening internationally. Yeah, Pokemon Go Park. So this was something that was part of this Pikachu Outbreak event that was happening in Japan. So Pikachu Outbreak was happening whether Pokemon Go is involved or not. This is they pretty much completely take over Yokohama. I've seen the footage on YouTube. The trains are decorated, the malls are decorated, the streets are decorated, it's just an overwhelming presence of Pokemon all throughout the city. It just looks like such an amazing time. I don't know if you had a chance to see what the city looks like, but it's crazy.
I haven't had a time, but definitely going to check it out.
Trainer Tips, Mystic 7, Reversal, the usual suspects, they all have really cool footage of what's going on in Yokohama, and I'm super jelly. It's really, really, really cool to see the whole kind of culture come together, and not just be like a Go Fest situation where it's like, all right, everyone's converging on Chicago, but then within this park, this is much more, open air. So it's just cool seeing how big it is when you're not constrained by, a physical park or something like that. But so what these Pokemon Go Park events were going to be, they divided up two separate parks that are adjacent to each other. One of the parks is going to have a Kanto theme, and all the Gen 1 stuff is going to be spawning out of that park. And then there's going to be a second park that's adjacent to it that is a Johto themed park, and all the Gen 2 stuff is going to be, spawning out of there. So they really are paying homage to each of those separate generations individually, which I thought was really cool. And it's probably would be something that's kind of welcoming for newer players, that if they're, more comfortable with Gen 1 and recognizing the Gen 1 stuff, it's like, hey, here's a whole playground you can go in, and play in this Gen 1 playground here, and see all those Pokemon that you knew, 20 years ago. And here's the Johto Park that, maybe more experienced people with Pokemon can go, or anyone. So I just thought it was an awesome way to kind of make this event have two different, themes at the same time. It was really cool.
That is really cool.
And they're doing the special 2K eggs just like Go Fest. Unknowns are going to be spawning like crazy, and the Pokemon that's going to be breaking the geographic restriction is going to be Mr. Mime. So Mr. Mime, normally a European region exclusive, is spawning like crazy at these Pokemon Go Park events in Yokohama. And Nick from Trainer Tips, they're pulling up to the event, and the Mr. Mimes are cluster spawning around him. I think at one point he had 5 or 6 Mr. Mime surrounding him before he even entered the area of, one of these two parks, because they're just everywhere. The spawn rate was nuts. And Nick actually completed his Pokedex 242 of 242 with that Mr. Mime catch, which is crazy. He did it. I think he's the first YouTuber to do it. But it'll be interesting to see if Ho-Oh is released on Monday, which the rumor mill is thinking, because, we have the Pikachu Outbreak, the actual Pikachu Outbreak event kicks off tomorrow and then carries on through Tuesday. So, they're thinking Ho-Oh is going to be the big, raid announcement.
The big tomorrow. Finale.
Yeah. So I hope so. I think that'd be really cool. They did cycle all the raid bosses out there, so I think there's a Piloswine. Who else? Ursaring. Yeah, so there's
Dragonite.
Dragonite, which is going to be cool
Pikachu,
for a lot of players.
Houndoom.
Speaking of Pikachu, they also released a shiny Pikachu. What? This kind of came out of nowhere, where people were seeing, by mining the APK, they saw the entire Pikachu family line and their shiny versions in the code, and lo and behold, shiny Pikachu is spawning in these Japanese events. So there's just so much going on over there. I just can't wait for this trickle down effect where this stuff starts making its way to the rest of the world, post event, because I still don't even have a shiny Magikarp, man. So
I don't either.
I'm still on that grind. And I went somewhere today that was like right in the water. I went to a reservoir, and there's tons of, nature and water around. It's a strong water biome. I caught so many Magikarp today, and it's like I still don't have that shiny, and it's killing me. Or the unknown, and these unknowns are spawning like crazy at these Pokemon Go Park events, which is crazy too. So I'm
dropping
jelly.
lures, I'm dropping incense, trying to like maybe spawn one.
Yeah, I blew through a bunch of lures today because, buying so many of these boxes, these promotional anniversary boxes, they all come with lures. So it's like, I was sitting on like 50 lures. They was hogging up all my bag space. So I was just dropping lures at every Pokestop I saw today when we, because I was going to be in that area walking around. We did I did like a hike today. So I said, let me just drop all these lures, and I had like zero return from it. I was all bummed out, but at least I cleared some bag space. Yeah, it was like I was getting like lure Pidgeys. I was like, really? Come on. It's so crazy.
Yeah, see, I'm dumping all my regular potions and regular revives.
Yeah.
Trying to increase my box, and I'm just throwing berries while sitting at home just to get the dust.
Exactly, yeah.
How about Stardust?
You can never have enough Stardust. I spent about 300 or 400K in the past couple days. I did my, I boosted my Articuno, and then I did another Golem. But I'm just kind of rounding out some of the heavy hitters that I have. Oh, and I finally built up my Tyranitar, so, now I have like a 3,200 Tyranitar or something like that. Woo! So, yeah, so that was like 200K in Stardust that, I'm hoarding it, so I have it, I might as well use it.
Yeah, after last week's episode, I started walking with a Geodude. And it is so nice to just keep
1K. It's great.
Just keep hitting that candy. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, but when you remember that you need that 125 candy just to get it from the Geodude to the Golem, it's like painful.
Yeah, I named one of my Geodudes Ken.
That's awesome. See, that's the way to do it. So now I need a Delibird in my life so I can name it Adam. See,
I don't think I'll be able to transfer any. So I really hope that I don't catch too many and they don't cluster spawn.
Yeah.
And they're actually sort of rare, because I'm not going to be able to transfer. My heart can't take it.
Man, I transferred some Pokemon the other day. I was clearing space, and I've been holding on to a lot of the third evolution style Pokemon, Charizards, Blastoise, and stuff like that, and I had to let some of them go. I think I even transferred some Snorlax, just because I needed to clear room. I had too many. First world Pokemon problems when you have too many Snorlax. It's like I'm sorry, buddies, but they're like low CP, and I had like an 800 CP Snorlax. Like, I'm never gonna power you up, I'm never gonna use it. Give me that sweet, sweet candy. That's all I need.
It's worth it.
In other Pokemon Go news, we have Sprint Store made an announcement. They are giving out really cool physical sewn badges for level. So you have like a level 10, 20, 30, and 40 badge they're going to give out. It comes in this cool little pamphlet thingy, and it's supposed to be available now. I've been to 2 Sprint stores, and even though there's like marketing for Pokemon and all that stuff everywhere around the store, with signs saying, see us for free Pokemon stuff, it's like every employee I talked to, they were like, they had no idea what I was talking about. So, hopefully that communication will get a little bit better in the coming days. But, I remember when they first partnered with Starbucks and we went on the first day and it's like, really? Pokemon? What? They didn't know. So hopefully the memo will get out to the whole staff. But I want free stuff. I want cool physical swag. I love that stuff.
I want this badge. I mean, I wish they had them for every 5. Because I'm almost level 35.
But I'm on that grind. I think I am 400,000 XP into level 38 now. So, on that road to 300. Or 3
on
3
the
million.
road to Viridian City.
What else? What else we have going on in Pokemon Go? Oh, a cool little just Poke Science fact that someone stumbled through in Reddit. Let's see, what's the Reddit user's name? The Reddit user's name is Optimist_Toaster. And he found out that the maximum amount of time that a Pokemon can defend a gym is 49 days, 17 hours, and 2 minutes. And then after that, the timer resets. And this has some kind of nerdy reason of why the timer can't handle any more time on there, and it's forced to reset because of some technical limitation that is beyond my comprehension. But I thought that was a really weird thing, and I've never had any. I think the longest I've ever had a Pokemon in any gym since the new rework has been about 6 days. I don't know about you. I
think mine was 9.
That's crazy.
I think with Flareon, yeah.
It's like, at what point are you like, please, someone knock it out? Like, come home.
Well, recently, I mean, there's a stop right after the toll booth, and it's like nobody stops.
Right.
Because who has time, you know? And I just like stopped there, and I left a Steelix just thinking like, it's 1,500 CP. It'll come back, you know, tonight, you know, whatever. And it stayed there for like 7 days.
Wow.
I'm like, ugh. And every other person in there, they were like, one was like a Chinchou, another was an Ariados.
Just random stuff.
Yeah, just random stuff. And it's like, we're all at 0 CP, basically. All it took was one Pokemon to just wipe us all out. Every day, I'm like, why is nobody taking this?
It's off the beaten path. That's all it takes. I have a gym like that too. And it's like, I take it out every day on my way home. I take it out, and the next day, when I get there again, it's the same person with a Houndoom in there, and it's like they're the only one in there. And because it's like, you have to pull into like an abandoned building's parking lot, and it's like you have to park in a certain area to reach it geographically, you know, with the GPS to the building lot next door. Like, it's super ridiculous. So, one Pokemon can hold it down for the whole day because no one's really pulling in. Because it's just like, it's off the beaten path. So
yeah, that's like one of the lakes that I'm near. I mean, you pull in, and it's got its own stop right at the beginning, but you can't drive your car through it, so you have to get out physically and like walk. And I mean, sometimes I do it at night. I know it's closed, but I'm just I want that gym. I gotta get it.
Melissa and I were out doing gyms today, and we've gotten to the point where we like putting weird stuff in gyms. Like, we might as well, it's so easy to take down a gym. There's really no challenge. As long as you have time and potions, it's just 3 battles. So whether you put a 30 CP Pidgey in there or, a 3,000 CP Gyarados, it's still going to take 3 battles to, knock it out. So you might as well put something that, you don't see every day, so.
Yeah. My brother and I are the same way.
I think I put in like a Girafarig or something that's just very uncommon that you would never really see in a gym either. And it's, that kind of, it spices it up a little bit, or try to do a themed gym where you put like all the evolutions or, a whole evolutionary line or something like that.
Yeah, no. And so my brother and I, we went out this morning and we did a couple raids. We beat Zapdos. We beat Lugia. Neither of us caught Lugia. I didn't catch Zapdos, but my brother did.
Oh, we'll get to Zapdos.
And while we're doing this, before everybody grouped up together, we just took over the gyms in the graveyard because it was at the graveyard. It was at one of the 3 gyms. We left stuff, and like somebody like pulled in right behind us, and like we're taking it, but we're like golden res. And then I ran out of golden raspberries, and I was like, all right, Oof. I'll let you take it. But I came back later tonight and just touched them and whatever, and saw them on my way home. And one of the gyms is all purple Pokemon.
Oh,
like Gengar,
that's
Crobat.
Cool. Yep.
And then another gym is all blue Pokemon.
Yeah, see, that's cool.
It's like Quagsire, Azumarill, and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. And me and my brother, when we left Pokemon, when we took over the gym the first time, he's like, what's good with Tauros? I was like, I don't know. You mess with the bull, you get the horn. So like, I was like, Pinsir.
Oh, cool.
So it's like, you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
No, that's cool because it's, if someone's going to take down the gym, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter who's in there. I can only imagine, the average player, level 25, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to be able to take anything down, regardless of how strong it is or moveset or anything like that. So you might as well shake it up a bit. Melissa's on Mystic and I'm on Valor. So what we did today was we just targeted instinct gyms, so that way we could take them down together, and then I'd let her put her Pokemon in because she's working on saving up some coins so she could buy one of these boxes with all the raid passes.
Well, that's nice of you.
Well, hey man, it's a give and take. It's like if I want to have her,
I didn't buy coins today,
let me play some Where Pokemon Go. I Least I can do is let her go in the gym.
Yes.
So Zapdos, we talked Moltres last week. We talked Articuno the week before. Zapdos was out this week and proved to be one of the more difficult ones to catch, where people in my area that had picked up a lot of Articuno and a lot of Moltres didn't seem to fare as well with Zapdos. I went 0 for 3. Melissa went 0 for 3. Josh went 0 for 3 on our first 3 raids. And finally on the 4th one, and I caught it. Melissa caught it. That was the first time she caught a legendary. She was 0 for 7 on her previous legendary raids. So she didn't get Articuno, didn't get Moltres. So she got the Zapdos, and she was literally, I look over and she's bouncing, because like we had 2 groups during the raid. We had a Mystic group and then an Instinct Valor group. But I'm over there with my group. We're still battling, and I look over at her, and she's literally like a pogo stick, like bouncing up and down. She was so excited. I was like, awesome. Yes, you got it. Yes. It was so cool. But dude, it was hard to catch. I mean, I was having, great luck with, Golden Raz, excellent throw, and the thing would just break out consistently. Oh, and the very cool thing that happened to Melissa on the catch round and the previous raid before she caught it was there's a glitch. So there's a glitch right now where, we all know about how the final ball doesn't count, isn't working. And the only way to catch it on the last ball is with a critical catch. So berry, curveball, all that stuff is irrelevant because you can only catch it through critical catch. So there's also a known glitch where when you throw the last ball, the ball will hit, the Pokemon will go into the ball, but right from there, the screen will turn white and it'll go to the, you failed to catch it screen, kind of thing. And it doesn't even give you a chance to get a critical catch. So on the raid the last raid that she didn't catch it, that happened to Melissa. And she's like, whoa, what happened? It just went away. Like she's like, it glitched. I got ripped off. I didn't get a chance on my last ball. So that happened to her. And then the following raid, when she actually did catch it, she caught it on her last ball, the glitch ball, with a critical catch. Wow. So she had like both ends of the spectrum happen to her on back-to-back raids, which I thought was totally crazy because I haven't critical caught any legendary raid bosses, let alone, on the last ball, where we're down to the wire. So it was like she totally got lucky. But yeah, I was so excited for her. But going into tonight, I only have one Zapdos in my box. So it was definitely a tough go.
I'm at one of each, except for I have 2 Moltres.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Lugia. Is Lugia going to go away with Zapdos? Is this going to lead into Ho-Oh? Will Lugia stick around? I don't know. You'll have to find out more on the next episode of Pokemon Go.
I feel like they're going to keep Lugia, and it's going to be a rarer occurrence, if you will.
Are they going to bring eggs back? Like, when are they, maybe this is the time where they bring the eggs back and they only use eggs for the legendaries. That way it's, stands out more. I don't know.
There's so many things they could do. I feel like they're not going to switch the raid bosses without announcing it. Because anybody that needs a Tyranitar or needs a Lapras, they would hope that people would coordinate to get those things.
Right.
After the legendaries. Because now that we all have these raid groups,
well, outside of just doing soloing like a Magikarp raid or, something like that, the only raids I've done recently are legendaries. So I haven't gone back to, do the Machamp raids and, Tyranitar raids and stuff like that. So, I kind of want to get back to that because now, I only have one good Tyranitar. So it's like, I want to get back to doing these regular raids that aren't legendary, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with the rollout of the new Pokemon. I definitely could go for some more Dragonites or at least some more Dragonite candy because I got plenty that I could power up. So, give me the candy.
Give me the candy.
Give me the loot. Give me the loot. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens going into this week. Pikachu outbreak, Ho-Oh, Shiny Pikachu. I don't know. Lots of stuff going on.
All right, Ken. Pokemon Center. What do we get new?
Oh my god. So there is new gallery figures, which are really, really well done. I haven't picked any of these up yet, and I'm mad at myself because every time I look at them, I'm like, man, these are really nice. But there's this, it started with this awesome Magikarp one. It was great. But this week we have Espeon and Umbreon figures. and the way they mold the plastic, they just give so much depth and character to the figure. So there's a lot going on outside of the actual Espeon and Umbreon piece. So it just looks really cool. They look really, they're really well done, and they look beefy. They look like they have a lot of mass to them.
Yeah, it's like Umbreon's using some sort of like dart pulse or something, and
yep,
Espeon's got like a moonlight all around it.
Yeah, it's very, very artsy looking, and it goes well with the rest of the set. I just love all these. These are really just so cool. I gotta pick these up. Every time I look at them, I'm like, must buy. The Eevee one is really cool.
Didn't we get some new pins too?
Oh, and there's 3 new and very relevant for Pokemon Go, but they released the legendary birds. So there's a 3-pack of the legendary birds, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, 3-pack of pins, $19, nice and weighty. And I think this is the only place that you can get these pins. I don't think they sell these individually, so I always like the pins.
The only thing I don't like is that Zapdos isn't doing anything different. It's that like the same art from the first card ever printed, you know?
You know what? It is. It is the same shape as the original base set card. That's so funny. Like
Articuno's got his wings like flapping towards you, like as if he's using like icy wind, and Moltres is like almost skydiving.
So speaking of Moltres, this might be the most widely pronounced different pronunciations of any Pokemon. I've heard so many people say it so many different ways, you know, because obviously you have the uno dos tres, you know, with the birds. So I've heard Moltres, Moltres, Moltres. You know, I always called it Moltres, but I've heard Moltres a lot, or Moltres a lot too. So I don't know, it's weird, but I hear so many different pronunciations. I love that about Pokemon. People say it so many different ways.
Yeah, like Mimikyu. Could be like Mimikyu.
You put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Mimikyu. Ditto. Dido.
Dido. Remember Dido? Eminem? Ditto, bro. In Sun and Moon, they're giving away more Megastones for free.
More
Megastones. There is, you just get it through the mystery gift. So there's really nothing to do. You just put in a special code. It's POYONG, Poyong. And you get 4 Megastones, which is awesome. Galladite, Gardevoirite, Lupinite, and Deanceyite.
I think it's Lopunite.
Lopunite. Yeah.
And I don't know, is it Deancey or Diancey?
Diancite. I don't know. But it's those 4. So they're very elegant looking Pokemon, and they get more elegant in their, in their mega forms. They look fancy, flowing, graceful. They don't look like they're gonna.
I still gotta get the game. I mean, I'm still like lost. I'm never gonna have any of those.
Well, look,
Megastones.
This is what we're gonna do. We may not have these. So but we should go through Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon together. Like, we should try to go through that at somewhat same pace, so we could talk about it. Because
you got it.
It's like I'm totally upset with myself that I haven't played through that game yet, especially because I watched Melissa blast through it, in the first couple weeks it was out. So I was like,
well, how about this? Every other week.
Yeah.
So like we hit one gym, or I don't know. I know that Sun and Moon don't have gyms.
Well, we could have that. We will pace ourselves to where we can, have a required checkpoint, and once we get to that point, we can have some stuff to talk about. I remember being, I enjoyed watching Melissa play through it, and there were so many points where I was like, I need to start playing this. Like, this is so cool. And she was into a lot of like the nuances of like the berries and, farming and stuff like that. And that's the stuff, that end game stuff is what I really like as well. So I want to get to that point where I could just, do all this ancillary stuff, outside of this, the more base Pokemon experience. There's just so much you could do in the game. And there's free stuff every week, and it makes me want to, I'm just lazy.
Well, by the time you're listening to this, the Salazzle code will be available at GameStop. So don't forget about that.
Yes, that's right.
I'll put one up on our Instagram for a contest.
Oh, snap. See, helping out the community.
Yeah, as always. I mean, it's nice, working next door to a GameStop.
Yeah, that is good. Well, I'm sure there's positive and negative to that.
I mean, yes. We won't go into the negative. All about the positives.
All about the positives here. That's it. Keep it light. Another cool thing that was released on Pokemon.com, and we've been talking about the North American finals that happened a couple weeks ago for the TCG, and the decks that were used, and Pokemon.com, they put up an article called Decks to Watch For at Worlds 2017. So Worlds is happening soon in California. I think it's like $500,000 in prizes or something like that. So it's
wow.
going to be the biggest one ever, what they're saying. And they review a bunch of decks that are everyone is expecting to see in the finals bracket, and it looks like much of the same that we saw during the North American International Championship. Trashlanche deck, which is the Garbodor and Trubbish combo with a Tapu Lele, and the Decidueye Vileplume deck that you were talking about with that Vileplume that's kind of tormented people for ever.
Generations.
There's a Volcanion deck, a Volcanion Ho-Oh deck with Tapu Lele. There is a Gardevoir GX deck with Tapu Lele as well. So Tapu Lele's it's like in every one of these decks. It seems like that's going to be like a very common card, regardless of what style the deck is. So,
well, Tapu Lele is excellent. I mean, it's 2 colorless for 20 times the amount of energy attached to both Pokemon. So, I mean, if you have 1 energy, a DC, that's 60 damage.
Right there, yep.
And then, you play it down, search for a supporter. It's a staple.
Yeah, so they give the entire recipe for all these decks, which is cool because, and this is something that I want to dig into a little bit more because I still need to put together a good deck that I can play physically with. So I'm going to do it. I just got to figure out what deck to do, and then I got to hunt down these cards. But I streamed a Lunala deck on Guardians Rising, Lunala deck for the Hidden Moon. I streamed that on Twitch last Friday. That one was a lot of fun. I kind of was able to figure out the strategy of pacing with Lunala's move where it's 130 damage, but you have to remove all the energy on the active Lunala and you can put it to anyone on the bench. So it only really works out when you have another Lunala on your bench that you can kind of swap back and forth all the energy, keep everyone stacked up, and then have a switch card that you can kind of bring the other one in. So it's like within 3 or 4 matches, I figured out, okay, that's the basis of this deck, is being able to, rotate these Lunalas from active to the bench with the energies and keep them, keep the energy active. And, I can only imagine like playing a real strategy, on one of these style decks that have, so much more depth than just like, an off the shelf theme deck.
Well, so here's where Lunala GX comes into play, is its ability allows you to move psychic energies to any of your Pokemon in any way you like. So you would use that attack, move them anywhere, and then put them back.
Cool. That's cool.
And like you can max potion it and then move it back. Like that's a big strategy, is having that Lunala and then the GX, and then being able to, take a huge hit because it has 250 hit points, and then just move all the energies and then max potion and move all the energies back.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about in the stream. I was like, man, I have so much fun playing these theme decks and kind of just jumping in blind. I go, but I want some of these heavy hitters. I need some GXs in these decks. I need some of that action, So maybe I can do a variation of that Hidden Moon deck and then somehow bring in the Lunala GX as to replace something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so fun playing these theme decks because 30 minutes of trial and error, and it's like, all right, I got it. I figured it out. It's just, they make it so approachable, so easy to play. All right, let's talk about this episode. So this episode is called Hypno's Naptime. Original air date is October 13th, 1998.
Adam just turned 10.
Dude, I'm already like out of high school. I was touring right now, and at this date in 1998, I was living the dream, touring as a touring musician, playing hardcore music, traveling the country, playing like 250, 300 shows a year.
Wow.
That's what I was doing in 1998. I was 22 years old. So yeah, old fogey status. Well, you were 10 years old. It's so crazy. I'm so old.
I was the OG Pokemon trainer.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. You know, you were really you were the prime target.
I was the prime target. Mom, I need these cards. Mom, buy me the game.
Yeah, I was at a point where
it worked.
With Melissa and I were living together. We had a bunch of friends that were all living in the same house. So rent was low, you know, responsibilities were low. It's like our whole room was just covered in Pokemon stuff from top to bottom. We were so bad with like toys and plushes, like everything we earned, we just spent.
That's awesome.
Spent on Pokemon stuff. It's just so bad. Yeah, so original air date October 13th, 1998. Oh, we are recording this on Sunday, August 13th, 2017, by the way. When we left off from last week, they never really said where Ash is going. They wrap up Celadon City. They're kind of walking out, you know, but they don't say anything about where they're off to next. And it picks up perfectly at that point. So you see the crew kind of walking through another city, and this city it looks just like Celadon City. So big skyscrapers and, you know, that whole thing. And Brock is like, you know, has his face buried into a map. And Ash is like, where the heck are we? And the weirdest name for a town, Brock is like, oh, we're in Hop 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 Town. It's like, where did they get this from? I don't understand.
Oh, and I love the animation here.
Yeah, they do like a little goofy dance. And but they're as they're celebrating how ridiculous Hop 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 Town is, you hear this woman coming running in and she's screaming, Arnold, Arnold, honey. And she's got like, she's very, voluptuous, and she kind of grabs Ash and pulls him in real close and hugs him. And, he kind of is smothered a little bit by this woman. And it comes to bat, you know, she thinks that Ash is her son Arnold. Arnold's been missing for 3 days, and the plot starts to unravel a bit of what's going on in this episode. So it comes out that Arnold is only one of many kids in town that have gone missing 3 days ago. No one knows where they are. They don't have any clues as to what's going on. And Ash, you know, being the consummate helper and community member, is like, that's it. I want to take this upon myself to help out. They look at the wall, and there's all these missing posters, these missing child posters, like lined up of all these like young kids. And Officer Jenny, and again, this is our paradox of time and space. Officer Jenny arrives. She pulls up on a motorcycle, and she has a new poster to hang up. And Ash immediately runs up to her and is like, yo, you know, you must be related to Jenny from Maiden's Peak. So the last time we saw Officer Jenny was back in Maiden's Peak. And this Jenny says, oh yeah, I am her cousin's cousin. So again, it's stretching that time-space continuum here. Of course, Brock is as thirsty as ever and immediately blushes and has this ridiculous look on his face.
She's so beautiful.
He pushes Ash out of the way. It's so great. He runs up to her and like grabs her hands and is like just all up in her personal bubble. And he's like, and she's like, ew, like, who are you? What are you doing?
Yeah,
it's really funny. But Ash kind of looks back and notices Arnold's mom, and he starts getting a little heart touched. So Ash is looking at Arnold's mom and sees how sad she is, and he gets to this point emotionally where he has to make this decision, and he really decides that he's going to figure this out because Arnold's mom is reminding him of his own mom, and it cuts back to this weird, you know, vision of Ash of Ash's mom holding a trophy, and she's in a bikini.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. But, you know, it makes, you know, there's some kind of reminder here that clicks with Ash. And he's like, look, I'm gonna, you know, Detective Ash is on the case. And of course, he takes it to this place that even Misty thinks he's ridiculous, where, you know, she's kind of caught in the middle of Brock doting over Officer Jenny. And then over her other shoulder is, you know, Ash getting all excited because he's pretending this new character of Detective Ash. And she's just like, whatever, you know, this is gonna, you know, she's caught in the middle as always. But they kind of tag along with Officer Jenny, and they start asking her questions. And, you know, Brock is kind of all up on Officer Jenny as usual, but he starts making some good points. He's, do these kids have anything in common? And Ash kind of jumps in as Detective Ash, and he's like, that's a brilliant deduction. They have to have had something in common. And, of course, Officer Jenny shuts her down, shuts him down.
And this Pokemon Center they come up on, it's super futuristic.
It is. It looks like a Disney ride.
Yeah, it's not like a normal one.
Inside, Jenny is kind of walking around with a picture of Arnold and asking all the other kids, like, hey, do you guys know this kid? Have you ever seen him? And half the kids are like, no, I have no idea. And the other half are like, sure, I play with this kid all the time. And Brock is such a creeper here, as Officer Jenny is like knelt down speaking to these kids, calmly, eye to eye. Brock like barges into the conversation and is like, you kids better tell her everything you know. Like, he starts like good cop, bad cop. And he's like, come on, you wouldn't do that to a beautiful lady, would you? Come on, you think she's beautiful, right? Don't you? Like,
and they're so petrified. Bad. They're like, what? Well, this guy is so scary.
Well, they're getting interrogated by a cop, and then some weirdo comes over and is like, she's beautiful, isn't she?
You think she's beautiful, right?
I love the way they make his voice, too. His voice is so funny whenever he's in, like, these very thirsty situations where he's like, yeah, she's real beautiful, yeah, like...
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the way they do his voice.
And I mean, throughout this entire episode, one thing that I noticed was that the sound quality is a lot different than other episodes.
I kind of noticed that too.
It's almost like they're always in a hallway. Like, everything's echoing. And I don't know if, like, while recording it, they just kind of forgot that they were in that, like, either have that echo effect on or...
No, I totally noticed that too, especially with, certain scenes like this, cutting from scene to scene. The audio does have some differences. And again, you got to remember, like, I don't know what the budget was for the localization of this. I mean, we're still in the infancy of the series, so it may not have had all the support of a full-blown American cartoon. It may have just been, I don't want to say an afterthought because it was a huge franchise still, but it's just, this was localized. So I wonder if that had any role. But I definitely noticed differences with, how the voices sound from scene to scene even. Definitely sounds different.
I mean, we were talking about sound, so I figured I'd put it in now. Talk about that.
As they're going around interrogating all these kids, they're questioning with these kids, they're keeping it real low key. Ash sees Nurse Joy, so he runs over to the Pokemon Center counter and is, of course, says, hey, you must be related to the Joy from Maiden's Peak. And, she comes back with, you're correct. Obviously this is, this joke will go on forever. And Ash is like, hey, have you seen these kids? What's going on? And she's like, oh, I've seen that on the news, but I've got my own mystery I'm trying to solve. And it comes out that the Pokemon that are in the Pokemon Center have all had all their energy kind of sapped away from them. So they show a Cubone, they show an Oddish, they show a Magikarp, and they're all kind of completely just lackadaisical and totally withdrawn. And they're just like laid out, kind of flat on their bellies on the floor. And
it's wicked cute.
It's super cute.
Well, because like Oddish, it's like you normally see Oddish and he's always got his, his leaves up and about, and he's always like, Oddish. And then in the Pokemon Center, when he's drained, it's like, yo, I got my hair down.
Yeah, he's like emo Oddish. He's got he's emo Oddish because he has like these long locks coming down. It looks really funny. But he is totally cute. But, Nurse Joy's like, look, I can only help you a certain amount. Even Magikarp here is, usually full of life. And the Magikarp just kind of like tips over when she puts it down. But, something's going on with the Pokemon. There's a Charmander there. She's like, look, I'm worried about the flame going out on Charmander. That's how weird this situation is. And then she pulls out a Psyduck. And now this is the first time that we're being introduced to Psyduck in the series. Ash pulls out the Pokedex, and there's just, they're trying to put this together. Like, what is the connection here? Is there a connection between the missing kids and the sleepy Pokemon, there has to be some kind of connection. And Joy then says that, look, these Pokemon have been acting like this for 3 days. And then once they hear that this is, been happening on the same schedule as the kids, now they really feel confident that there's some direct connection between the missing kids and the sleepy Pokemon. So while they're all sitting there at the Pokemon counter, there's this device that Officer Jenny is wearing on her waist. And it's like this little radio frequency kind of thing, and it starts buzzing. Everyone's like, what is that? What's going on? Brock creeps in. He's like, hey, that must be a handsome guy detector. He's so thirsty. And Jenny shuts him down right away. She kind of like mushes him away, like, ew, no, get off.
Yeah, don't kid yourself. Ugh.
And it comes out that this is a sleep wave detector. And, she's been picking up these sleep waves in town lately. So there's something going on with this high amount of this weird frequency that puts Pokemon asleep. And as this is being detected by her device, Ash's Pikachu even kind of like falls into this slumber, loses all of its energy and kind of like tips over. And they're trying to figure out like what is going on here and how is this related to, the bigger picture. Now, they cut to a famous Team Rocket little, cutaway where completely outside of the action, Team Rocket is somehow connected. And this episode is no different.
Yeah, and they have their own, like, sleep wave detector.
Dude, they're all the rage with the kids these days, these sleep wave detectors.
I know. I've got one on my Fitbit. I've got one on my Apple iWatch. Come on.
So they have a sleep wave detector also, and they're detecting the same waves as Officer Jenny, and they have this grand idea that they're actually going to use this, whatever's emitting this, these sleep waves, they want to turn and use it on Giovanni, which is like out of nowhere that they're kind of, having these kind of thoughts, which was a little weird.
Internal sabotage.
Total internal sabotage. But they're like, yeah, we'll use it on Giovanni. And it comes out that they want to put him to sleep so they can kind of take a break. Like they need a vacation real bad. And
sounds like me.
Dude, I need a vacation like you don't even know. Yeah, you too, man, with how much you've been working. But they're excited because they have a plan that they're gonna turn on Giovanni, and they just Team Rocket dreams. They could do no wrong in their own mind. But they cut back away from that, and they're following Ghostbusters style. They're following this device that Officer Jenny has, and it leads them to this giant skyscraper. Now, Celadon City was very urban, where there was big skyscrapers and stuff like that, but this Hop 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 town is even more so dense with skyscrapers. So this device kind of leads them to this huge tower. This thing is one of the biggest skyscrapers in the city. And they run in, and they're like, it's coming from the roof. So they jump into the elevator. They fly up into to the top level. And when they finally get to the staircase that leads them to the actual roof access of the building, when they open the door, it's almost like they're opening it to like a wonderland.
Gates to heaven.
It's like the gates to heaven, exactly. Because like as the dust clears, on the roof of this skyscraper is a complete mansion, a huge mansion with like maze gardens outside and everything. Officer Jenny's 100% confident that this is the origin of these sleep waves. And Ash goes right up to the door and is like, all right, I hear noises inside. We're going to break in. Like
what? You didn't even knock. Come on.
Dude, they totally don't even knock. And Ash and Brock decide that they're just going to kind of like shoulder check into the door to break in. And mind you, they're with Officer Jenny. They're with a cop. And Officer Jenny clearly thinks that this is okay because she doesn't stop them at all.
Yeah, right? You guys are under arrest?
Yeah, like you're about to do like a B&E right here. But so they totally, break into this door. They smash the door open. And when they get inside, there's like this black tie cocktail party going on. And I don't know if you ever saw Eyes Wide Shut. But that's like,
yeah.
I immediately thought that like this is like some elitist style party. And in the center of the room, there's like this little pedestal with a Drowsy and a Hypno kind of sitting on it. And everyone's kind of like standing around it. And it's a little weird. I know them to be Drowsy and Hypno, but the party and, everyone around, they don't necessarily know. So as they walk up to it, they whip out the Pokedex, and Hypno is like, oh yes, this Pokemon, it does, hypnotic waves and goes into that whole thing. And then they say, well, what about this weird thing next to it? And there's Drowsy. And then it's like, all right, this Drowsy, can, what do they say about him? He uses a combination of hypnosis and Dream Eater attacks, which is like the first Pokemon known to do that. There's this one older dude who comes forward, and he's clearly like the ringleader of this group, this elitist party that's happening in the mansion on top of the skyscraper. And it comes out that their Drowsy had evolved into a Hypno 3 days ago. So again, we're getting another connection to this 3-day timeline. So they realize 3 days ago, Drowsy became a Hypno, and something's going on with the Hypno. And because obviously they're all like, it's almost like a cult, and at the center of this room is Drowsy and Hypno. It's like, what is going on here? It's very weird.
Well, they need Hypno to put them to sleep, because everybody in the group suffers from insomnia, so they're using Hypno instead of sleeping medicine.
All right. So
because they love Pokemon.
All right, let's talk about this for a second. So as they're explaining this to Misty, and they're like, yes, we need this so we can go to sleep. Misty's like, well, what do you mean we? Like, who is we? And the guy's like, oh yes, we are the Pokemon Lovers Club, which is weird in its own right. They're like, yes, we adore Pokemon so much. Hypno is our favorite, but we're so stressed out that we need, we all have insomnia. Now, they're using this as a replacement for sleep medication. So they come out and say, okay, we used to take sleep medication. We're all stressed out because we work in the big city, but now we're using Hypno instead. So does this break or violate any weird human Pokemon relations civil moral code?
Well, the Saint SSN or whatever, didn't they use Onix and Bulbasaur to like walk across? So I mean,
yeah, but this is a little different.
Well, I mean, if it's their Pokemon and that's what they like to do, they like to hypnotize their Pokemon.
I don't know. I thought that
Pokemon
this was
Lovers Club.
This was they're in the Pokemon Lovers Club, and they're are these just like a bunch of like weirdos that are just like getting their rocks off by having Hypno hypnotize them and put them to sleep? I don't know. I thought it was kind of on the verge of there's some funky weirdness going on,
or at the very least it's like Hypno abuse.
Yes, because this poor Hypno's just sitting there, but I don't know. Maybe he's
like, I haven't been able to get up in 3 days. These guys just keep having me put him to sleep.
So it comes out that, and remember, Ash is still in this Detective Ash mode. So he really thinks he's getting to the bottom of all this, but in actuality, it's Brock that has the notion of, look, the waves that Hypno is emanating is probably, we know that it has a sleeping effect, but normally he's only using these hypnosis attacks on other Pokemon. So clearly this Hypno has been bred or trained or whatever to change the frequency of this hypnosis attack to work on humans. So it's obviously going to have enough potency if it's working on adults that there could be a side effect of it actually reaching out and affecting small kids. So now Hypno is having this bigger effect on the small kids of the town and the Pokemon in town. So they've pretty much come down to it. They're like, all right, we've figured this out, and of course Ash is going to take credit for it. And
Detective Ash,
Ash, cocky Ash, but Brock and Misty shut him down. But Brock is like, oh yes, we know what's going on with the kids now. They have Pokemon-itis, and I gotta say, this is some lazy writing.
I have Pokemon-itis. I'm just saying.
Dude, they couldn't come up with anything better than Pokemon-itis. I was a little disappointed. I was like, this is really Pokemon-itis? Come on, man. But anyway, Misty wants to see if this actually is the case. So she steps right up, looks into Hypno's eyes, and lets Hypno hypnotize her. And she starts to get hypnotized, and before you know it, she's kind of like clapping her hands and saying the word seal over and over, and she's behaving just like a seal. He's like, seal, seal. So she's behaving like a seal and runs away. And everyone's kind of standing there like, okay, like what is going on? And
yeah, where's she going?
Where's she going? So remember, they're on the roof of a skyscraper, so they immediately cut to her running out of the front door of the skyscraper. So she made her way all the way down from the roof, all the way down, acting like a seal, and runs off into a park. And it's pretty funny the way they introduce the park, because as they're running through it, Ash even calls it out. He's like, I can't believe there's such a big park in this big city. Like, they just, kind of calling out that how densely populated and urban this city was, but now all of a sudden there's a park in it. But I thought that was, it doesn't make any sense. But they get to the park and they stumble upon, and again, these kids have been missing for 3 days. They obviously didn't look too hard, because they stumble upon this clearing in the park, and all the missing kids from town are there, and they're all acting like Pokemon.
I know, and then like there's one of the kids is in the tree, and he's just like squirming, and he's going ree ree, just like a Caterpie.
Dude, the best is the Magikarp girl. There's a girl that thinks she's Magikarp, and she's just flopping around, splashing in a puddle. And Jenny's like pulling on her arm, like, "Come on, kid, we got to get you to your parents." And she's like pushes her away and goes back to splashing. But
I personally like the Caterpie, but I do like the Magikarp too.
So the club leader, this cult leader guy, recommends that there could be a solution here. They could use Drowsy, which can emanate dream waves. So they can use Drowsy to emanate these dream waves that will counteract the sleep waves that Hypno is putting out, and they bring Misty back up to the top of the skyscraper, back in front of Drowsy now, and Drowsy uses dream waves on her, and it works. It snaps her out of the trance, out of Hypno's trance, and she's kind of like super confused, like, how the heck did I get here? And Ash has a simple way to make sure she's all right. He just kind of like gives her a dig. What does he say to her? He says like you look beat. And she like jumps up and like shakes her fist at Ash. She's like, "Oh, why Iota?" And that is enough for Ash to, okay, she's back to her old self. This works. And he picks up Drowsy over his head and runs out of the skyscraper holding Drowsy over his head all the way back to the park. And the mission is to, put this Drowsy in front of these kids to snap them out of their,
Well, he's got to eat their dreams.
Their Pokemon.
Of being Pokemon.
Dude, that's it. He's got to eat the dreams using the Dream Eater attack. So it is a little morbid.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. It is.
But as he's running with this Drowsy over his head, he sees like 3 glistening little reflections in the sky. And it's, dude, it's Team Rocket total hang glider mode, like swooping in. And it's like super epic. And they go through the whole motto, and they have these awesome, like, they're all color coordinated hang gliders. And they're all pros at hang gliding, even Meowth. But they go through the whole motto. Meowth closes the motto. Instead of saying "that's right," he says "that's flight." So he throws in a little pun there.
He's the best.
He is the best. Their plan, Team Rocket's mighty plan here, is they know that Hypno is the one that's putting out these sleep waves, and if Hypno has any pride as a Pokemon, it will attempt to put someone in a trance no matter what, and they hold a mirror in front of Hypno, forcing Hypno to hypnotize himself.
And James is so scared
because he's holding he's like the guy in like a martial arts demonstration that's holding the boards that are about to be broken. He's like waiting for him to get smashed. Yeah, he's holding this mirror in front of the Hypno. He's like, "Just don't hypnotize me." And this Hypno starts putting itself into a trance. And Ash sees this from, however far away, and saves the day by picking up a little flower pot and chucking it at James, and smashes this mirror that Hypno is like entrancing itself through. And Hypno kind of snaps out of it, and Team Rocket's like, man, what are we going to do now? Like, we worked so hard on this plan. And they pull out these Indiana Jones whips and just kind of like, whoosh, they kind of like use the whip on Hypno and wrap him up, and use another whip on Drowsy and wrap him up. And second episode in a row, they break the fourth wall, where James calls it out and says, this is working great. Why didn't we just, use these whips from the beginning?
Because we have to fill a half hour.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good. Like, why? It's so unnecessary. Like, there's no reason for them to do that, but they just threw that in. I thought it was great. The Hypno and the Drowsy are struggling. They're completely wrapped up, and Misty busts out Staryu. So she throws out the Pokeball. Staryu comes out. It's spinning like a shuriken. Yeah. And it just completely slices through both whips, freeing up Drowsy and Hypno. Ash sees this happening in real time, sees that, them being distracted by the Staryu, pulls out Pidgeotto, commands Pidgeotto to do, its most powerful gust attack ever, and the Team Rocket is still kind of in the hang gliders as this is all happening, and because of that, as Pidgeotto's doing this gust attack, they just completely get swept away with the wind, and blast off, through this gust attack, which is absolutely hilarious, because as they're flying up in the air, Meowth says the obvious and is like, what goes up must come down. Team Rocket's blasting off again, and they just come crashing down to the ground. And
yeah, well, see, this part, it's like they just go flying up. You see a skyscraper, and they just fall right in front of it, and it's like, you're in paragliders. Like, why aren't you like just flying? Like, I don't know. I didn't understand why they had to crash down. They have wings. They should fly.
Maybe they didn't have as much hang glider skill as they thought. But
I don't know.
Yeah, back down at the park, Drowsy is using his dream waves on the whole park. So he kind of, is emanating the waves. He claps his hands together, and all the kids kind of snap out of it at the same time. And they all, wake up completely refreshed, but excited because they've just had, all these dreams kind of pumped artificially into their heads. So they're like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a Pokemon trainer.
Well, that's the only real one, right?
Yeah, exactly. And out of nowhere, Arnold's mom runs over and is just like, Arnold! And he gives him a big hug, big bosom-filled hug. And the kid looks nothing like Ash, by the way. So maybe she was just a creeper
right.
too.
And he's a lot smaller and younger.
Yeah, he's like half the size.
How do you not know that that's not your kid?
How do you know to not look in the park? For the kids that are missing for 3 days or just hanging out at the lake. Yeah, so it turns out that the kids are saved, and that part of it is a happy ending. It's all good. But they remember they got to bring the Drowsy back to the Pokemon Center because of all the Pokemon there that were still under Hypno's sleep spell. And Drowsy does the same thing, uses the dream waves, claps his hands. They all snap out of it. Pikachu comes back, and yes, Ash tries to take credit for everything. And Misty and Brock are like, come on, you obviously can't be serious. Like, do you really think that you had any role here in figuring out, this whole scenario? Everyone kind of snaps out of this trance. They, Cubone Bone comes back up, and Oddish is back up in arms, and Magikarp is all good to go. But Nurse Joy is still looking super concerned. So Creeper Brock kind of slides in and is like, what's a beautiful woman? You're such a beautiful woman. You shouldn't have much to be sad about. Total, Creeper Tinder headline. And,
get out of here, Brock.
Dude, it's so bad. She says that she's concerned that Psyduck is still looking stressed out. Like it's still holding its head. And, the stereotypical Psyduck pose. And Brock's like, hey, let me help out. My sole purpose in life is, to improve the well-being of Pokemon. And the next scene is them walking out of town, and the Psyduck is following them, holding its head, and Brock is clearly having second thoughts, like, what did I get myself into by saying I would be able to take care of this Psyduck? And he's like, come on, it's a water Pokemon, Misty, I think you should have it. And she calls it out, she's like, why would I want such a boring Pokemon? And they pull the Pokedex out again, and it says that Psyduck is constantly holding its head because it always has a headache. And Misty is like, what?
This thing always has a headache?
She's like, She gets so offended. She's like, really? You always have a headache? And as she's kind of laughing, mocking the Psyduck, she trips over like a little rock in the road. And as she's tripping, a Pokeball falls from her persons, from her care, and lands on the ground. It rolls up to Psyduck. Psyduck stares at it, looks at it, taps it, it opens up, and Psyduck goes in to the ball and is now imprinted by Misty because she just inadvertently caught herself a Psyduck effortlessly. The narrator comes on and is like, now that, you've effortlessly, Misty has effortlessly captured a Psyduck, but she's not too happy about it. So it's really, really funny how that played out. They don't go into much depth of how they ended up leaving with the Psyduck, but the narrator confirms, yes, Misty has captured this Psyduck. And, if you know future history of the Pokemon canon through the cartoon, you know that Psyduck is an important Pokemon in the canon. And we'll have many laughs going forward with Psyduck as a member of the team, which I'm very excited about.
Me too.
But this was definitely an interesting episode. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about this one. It started off really strong. It started off really cool. And it just kind of got weird.
It was like I started laughing through like most of it, and then like once I got to the part where they crash through the door and you meet the older people and they're talking about Hypno and stuff, it just kind of got dull for a little while.
Yeah,
and it's like Team Rocket shows up, and then boom, everything's bam, bam, bam.
Well, Team Rocket's in and out in like 60 seconds. It's like they show up and they screw up and then they're done. They're gone. They're blown away. And it's just like, wow, that was quick. Okay. And so they arrive at a town that I've never heard of. I don't know much about. They hop town. And they stumble upon this creepy Pokemon lover society, which, is very strange and unsettling. They're using Pokemon to replace drugs, which is weird. And kids go missing in this town, and they're hanging out in the center of the park, and no one finds them for 3 days. And
that's just poor like communication on the police department. I mean, come on.
Well, they should blame it on Officer Jenny. She's right there.
And come on, Officer Jenny. You have time to print off posters and post them everywhere, but you can't search the city?
Misty catches Psyduck effortlessly by accident and is now stuck with it, much to her chagrin. So, strange episode. I don't know. I think this is, we're 26, 27 episodes in now, and I think this might be the first one that I'm a little bit on the fence with of, did I enjoy that? Or I don't know.
Yeah, it's like weird. If we could just cut out that part, I'd be okay with it. Don't even tell me how the sleep wave thing worked out.
Right.
Just tell me you've solved it.
But it is cool that we get introduced to new Pokemon. We see Psyduck, we see Hypno, Drowsy. It's cool that we're starting to see more Pokemon. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is the mental Pokedex in the head of, the Pokemon we've seen and come across and have heard that, what they sound like and what they look like. That it's just, there's so many characters. It's cool to see them all get rolled out. But I don't know, wishy-washy episode. I'm not so sure about it, but it definitely moved the story along because now we have a new member of the team. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out into the future. Normally, when we wrap up our episode, we will do some pack unboxings. We're going to skip that segment this week. There's a big sale coming up with Pokemon cards at GameStop this week. We're going to take advantage of that, so we're kind of holding off. I picked up, in my stream, I had the postman arrive mid-stream and dropped off a bunch of Burning Shadow stuff to me in the middle of my stream. So I've got an Elite Trainer box to open. I've got both decks that I'm going to be streaming over the next 2 weeks on Twitch. And I have 2 Tapu Koko boxes. I have the regular Tapu Koko box. I have a shiny Tapu Koko box that I will be opening over the next week or so. And that content will hit YouTube, in the coming weeks. We're going to try to get that out at least once a week. Yeah, so, we can pretty much wrap up the episode. Thank you guys so much for checking out our show and hanging out with us. You can find everything about the show at GottaWatchEmAll.com. We're pretty much Gotta Watch 'Em All everywhere. So check us out. All our links are on the website. Please leave us a review in iTunes. We would really appreciate it. It would help us expand our reach. I am Proud Gamer. Tweet on Twitter. Adam, where can they find you personally?
I am Phoenix Back for Fire on Twitter. I always ruin that. I'll never get it right.
But
I'm someone on the internet.
Couple quick housekeeping things. Huge shout out to Seth Hay. Check out his work at sethhay.com. Huge shout to Grimecraft for the intro music and Chippercrit for the outro music. Thank you guys so much. Check out toysforgames.com. And that's going to be it for this week. So we'll see you guys next week. And keep a lookout for some Burning Shadow stuff happening over the next week across social media. That's it, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.